Hi everyone and welcome back. I'm Nicole. I'm a psychological therapist and nutritionist and I specialize in eating disorders. And today I want to have an honest conversation about Ozempic and similar GLP-1-like drugs like Mounjaro. Let's now talk about when these medications might actually be appropriate and why the decision needs to be so carefully considered. This is where things can get quite personal and clinical. As both a therapist and a nutritionist, I often get asked, is Ozempic right for me? And the answer is not black and white. We need to consider all the things I've already discussed in my previous video, and it depends on where you are at emotionally and behaviorally. We need to look beyond just weight loss and ask, are you truly ready to use this medication safely? Given these complexities, I believe GLP-1 medications may only be suitable under certain conditions. You have strong emotional regulation skills and can manage distress without turning to food. You have significantly reduced binge eating through behavioral methods, not solely medication. You maintain regular, balanced eating habits consistently. You feel comfortable eating all foods without guilt or shame. Your weight loss goals are health-driven and not appearance or shame-based. You're working closely with healthcare providers offering medical, psychological, and nutritional oversight. Now let's look at when Ozempic is not appropriate or other GLP-1 drugs. So before we move on, I want to take a moment to highlight something equally important, which is when these medications are not the right choice for you. This is not about denying access or judging anybody's decision. It's about recognizing those red flags and protecting your long-term health, especially if you have a history of disordered eating or emotional eating. These factors aren't always obvious, but they can matter very deeply. Starting an appetite-suppressing medication without the right emotional or behavioral foundation can cause way more harm than good. On the other hand, you should avoid starting GLP-1 medications if food remains your primary emotional coping mechanism. You regularly experience intense guilt or shame or secrecy around eating. You frequently binge or engage in purging behaviors. You have high levels of body dissatisfaction or rely on external validation of your appearance. Your family environment might negatively influence vulnerable household members, body image, or eating habits. A growing body of research underscores the importance of addressing these concerns before starting GLP-1 medication. For instance, the CALAS 2025 study examined psychological outcomes in users of GLP-1 medications and found increased rates of emotional distress, including anxiety and individuals who lacked prior coping strategies. Bartel in the 2023 study found that individuals with disordered eating histories experienced higher rates of nutritional compromise and gastrointestinal complications when using GLP-1s without dietetic support. These findings highlight the need to establish emotional regulation, nutritional adequacy, and therapeutic scaffolding before considering pharmacological intervention. Let's talk about what binge eating really looks like before and during the use of GLP-1 medications. And let's look at why understanding this is absolutely essential before considering treatment with Ozempic or Mounjaro. Before taking a GLP-1 medication, binge eating might look like episodes of eating large amounts of food in a short period of time and very often in secret, feeling out of control around food, followed by intense guilt or shame, restricting or skipping meals earlier in the day, which then triggers nighttime binging. Using food to numb or manage emotions such as stress, boredom, or sadness. Now, here's the issue. GLP-1 medications don't fix any of that. They suppress appetite. So the emotional drivers behind the binging often remain. And here's where it gets risky. While on GLP-1, binge eating may look different, but it does not disappear. You may still feel the emotional urge to binge, but find yourself physically unable to eat, which can intensify feelings of distress. The binge may shift to more frequent grazing or overriding the medication suppression during emotionally charged moments. Some clients end up vomiting or experience severe nausea after trying to binge while on the medication. This isn't a solution, it's a dangerous complication that can lead to visits to the hospital. This is why I always say medication is not a shortcut for recovery. In fact, the psychological distress of trying to binge while physically unable to can make the problem even worse and really uncomfortable. You may feel more broken, more ashamed, and more hopeless. That's not what these medications are meant for, and it's not what you deserve. Here's what I recommend instead. Commit to working on the root cause of the behaviors first. Through therapy, you can learn to regulate your emotions without food, and also through nutrition, I can help you create a meal a day where you can eat in a way that does not lead to binging. And by reducing binge urges, you create a structure and allow yourself to have regular nourishment. You can also address the restrictive patterns that fuel the binge restrict cycle. And here is the good news. Research and clinical experience show that with the right support, it's entirely possible to begin overcoming your binge eating within 12 to 16 weeks. That's just over 3 months. In that time, you can build emotional tools to help you cope. You can eat in a structured way. You can be in a place where you're no longer binging, and the self-trust needed to make a more informed decision about whether GLP-1 medication is right for you and to use it more safely is in your hands. This is exactly where I come in as a psychological therapist and a nutritionist. I help people rebuild their relationship with food, restore regular eating, and work on the real drivers of binging. This is all so that one day you can choose a GLP-1 medication, and so that you're doing that from a place of clarity and not desperation. Effective binge eating strategies include engaging with professional therapists specializing in eating disorders, learning emotional coping and distress tolerance strategies, establishing consistent, structured eating routines. Please do not wait until your symptoms worsen. Seek professional help early. If you do believe that GLP-1 medications might support your health journey, start by having a clear, honest, and open discussion with your GP. If you don't think you have any disordered eating and actually it is appropriate for you, please go ahead. Hopefully they can also give you the medical support, psychological support, and nutritional support. GLP-1 medications might be helpful in very specific circumstances, but they're far from being a standalone solution for emotional eating or binge eating disorders. Psychological readiness, emotional support, and nutritional guidance are vital. I've prepared additional resources below to help you clarify when these medications might be appropriate versus when they're not recommended for you. You can download this resource for free, and all the links are in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If this video gave you something to think about or helped you feel a little bit more informed, please give it a like. Share it with someone who might need it, and hit subscribe. I'm Nicole, a psychological therapist and nutritionist specializing in eating disorders, and I'm here to help you make decisions that feel good for you and your body and your mind. You can also download the free resource linked in the description to guide you further. Take care and see you next time.